Splitgate 2 is a brand new sequel to the awesome Portal meets Halo shooter from 2019. It takes really smooth gunplay and combines it with portals, allowing for some really satisfying gameplay and big brain strategy. This open alpha is now live on PC and next-gen consoles until March 2nd. Splitgate 2's major difference, besides the massive jump in quality, is the addition of factions and a create a class system. There's 3 different factions you can play as, each one having its own selection of abilities, weapons, and perks. There's also a huge selection of innovative game modes and some really cool maps that sets it apart from the first game, but more on that later. The 3 factions are Aeros, Meridian, and Sabras. But before you start crying about yet another hero shooter, just know the devs have said they do not see the game as a hero shooter, but as a class-based shooter, and they do not intend to add more factions to the game unless the community really wants them to. But even then, it would be way later in the game's life. Another thing to note about factions is they all have the same stats like health and speed. What separates them is the tools they have to battle it out in the arena. Let's jump right in and talk about Aeros. The Aeros faction is flashy with a kit designed for going fast and never stepping on the brakes. The main ability here is called Rush, and when active, your movement and reload speed will be increased. The passive, it gives faster ability cooldowns for you and your team. Next, we have 3 gear options, which are like your secondary ability. The stim shot that instantly starts regenerating health, the shock disc that explodes on impact and stuns enemies, and the portal, which can spawn a floating portal that's linked to a portal you have placed on a wall. There's definitely going to be some crazy plays with this thing. Now, for what I really care about. The weapons. For primary weapons, we have the Blitz shotgun, which is an automatic fast-firing shotgun with a large BB spread. Now, I know this sounds annoying as heck, but honestly doesn't feel OP at all, and it requires some good tracking skill to get any value out of it. The Cadence carbine is a semi-automatic rifle that's basically an exact copy of the beloved carbine in Splitgate 1. The Pulsed burst rifle is a 3-round burst rifle that's very similar to the Splitgate 1 BR. The Sprinter SMG is a fast-firing machine gun that slows down over time. Finally, we have the Tempo assault rifle. Not much to say here, it's just your typical AR. Now, we have 3 secondary weapons, a light pistol, burst pistol, and heavy pistol. None of the burst pistols felt that good to use, but maybe I just need to give them more of a chance. However, the heavy pistol is super cool. It's a bolt action pistol with a scope that can deal a lot of damage and has good range. It's my go-to secondary when I'm using anything that's not the carbine as a primary. You also get to choose 2 perks for your class. However, there's 10 of them to choose from, and I don't think you want me to yap about each one. So the 2 I like are Speedy Slayer that grants a speed boost every time you get a kill. Remember, I said this class is all gas, no brakes. And the second one is called Hustle, and it just makes your sprint speed faster. Okay, enough about Aeros. Let's talk Meridian. Meridian is essentially the support class, but that doesn't mean they are any weaker than the others, and currently is my preferred class. The ability Hypersight temporarily reveals enemies and portals through walls, which is super good and gives your team a ton of value. The passive makes it so you and your teammates regenerate health faster. Now for the gear options. The Recon Radar gives you a deployable radar that reveals enemies within its range. However, I think it is pretty lame because it shows them on your radar map and I don't really ever use that. Next, we have the Regen Cloud, which is a health grenade that creates a burst healing zone for you and your team. Interesting fact here is that it actually does more healing to allies than it does for yourself. So it's not really designed to give you an easy advantage in fights, but more so to support your team and lock down objectives. Finally, we have the Time Dome, which is a lot of fun to use. It's a deployable bubble that increases the speed of everything for yourself and allies while inside of it, and decreases speeds for enemies inside, allowing you to use it both defensively and offensively. Now, when I say speeds of everything, I mean everything. Movement, fire rate, health regen, and reload speeds will all be increased or decreased while in a time dome. Alright, onto the weapons. First, we have the charged shotgun, which is like a railgun requiring a charge up before each shot. This thing does a crazy amount of damage close range, and if you pair it with a time dome, you become a force to be reckoned with. Next is the Hyperline carbine, which is a faster firing carbine, but deals less damage than the Aeros carbine. I really like this gun, and it feels really precise to pick people off from a distance, especially on the large 8v8v8 maps, but we'll talk about those later. The Phasma SMG shoots projectile balls and is super silly chucking these flying balls downrange. The Quantum Burst Rifle is a 4-round burst with a much faster fire rate. However, I just can't get used to the feel of this one and prefer the other BRs over it. The Synapse is my favorite assault rifle in the game, with a fast fire rate making it feel really precise and accurate to shoot. Next, we have 3 pistols. Yet again, a light, burst, and heavy. The heavy pistol is a rail charge up just like the shotgun, dealing loads of damage and has great range. This pistol is really fun to use and so satisfying when you figure out the charge up timing. Now, the two Meridian perks I like to use are the Flash Reloader, which increases your reload speeds, and the Eye for Equipment perk that highlights enemy portals and equipment through walls in limited range. Okay, Sabras. He's big, he looks like a duck, he's just that guy. The Sabras faction is the heavy class. Everything over here is big and goes boom. The main ability is a smart wall that you and your team can shoot through, but enemies cannot. However, they can shoot portals through them, so watch your back. The passive makes equipment recharge faster for you and your team. Now for equipment, we have a proximity mine, smoke grenade, and sticky grenade. I think those are all pretty self-explanatory, but it's important to note that you can't shoot portals through a smoke cloud. So you can use these to block lanes and stop people from being able to rotate using portals. Now, the Sabras weapons are pretty interesting. First, we have the Jackhammer burst rifle, and man does this thing pack a punch. Next is the Plow pump action shotgun, which is insanely OP. The Rattler SMG is currently one of my favorite guns in the game. It has a slow fire rate to start, but the longer you shoot, the faster it gets. It felt weird at first, but once I got the hang of it, I really started liking it. The Trailblazer is just a higher damage assault rifle, and the Warden is a slow fire rate, high damage carbine. I don't really like using this gun, but it is super strong and can even 2-tap headshots in close range, which is just crazy. Once again, we have 3 pistols. However, the normal pistol here is actually pretty strong and does good damage, but the heavy pistol is still my favorite, dealing more damage and just being a beast. The perks I like using on Sabras are Ammo Now, which gives you faster reloads, and Rapid Deployment, which reduces the cooldown on the smart wall. Now, before we talk about game modes, we have a few power weapons that spawn and can be picked up during a match. The Splitstream is a dual-wield SMG that, when held, restricts your ability to portal or use abilities. I really dislike this weapon and hope it gets a rework. The Fubar is a rocket launcher with the option to shoot all rockets at once or single fire them. The Big Friendly Bat is just a baseball bat, but it's not very friendly. Finally, we have the Deadbolt sniper rifle, which is so satisfying and fun to shoot. Okay, so there's a lot of really exciting things about the game modes in Splitgate 2. You have your basic modes like Team Deathmatch, Domination, and King of the Hill, but there's much more than that, and the devs said that the way their backend works is they can basically create new modes within minutes and deploy them without requiring a client update. I've seen a ton of different modes in the tests that I've played, and I'm sure we will see more new modes in this alpha, but I want to talk about my favorites. Firecracker is a 4v4 search and destroy mode, but you are able to respawn when you die. I thought this would be lame at first, but it actually works out really well and is super intense, fighting with your team over an objective. Splitball is a 4v4 capture the flag mode that's basically like the capture the flag we used to play as kids. The match starts with 1 ball in play, and as time goes on, there can be up to 5 balls spawned at once. To win, you need 3 balls sitting at your base. However, balls can be stolen from enemy bases, so they are never safe. It's a crazy battle to steal balls back and forth and try to snag the new ones spawning in. The balls even have physics, so you can switch weapons while carrying a ball to essentially throw it and make it go rolling. It can also roll through a portal and carry its momentum flying through the air. This is definitely one of my favorite modes and can't wait to see the strategy develop. Next is the duo mode that's 4 teams of 2 against each other. This is by far my favorite mode in the game. The version I played was Team Deathmatch and was so fun just locking in and battling it out with my teammate. I would love to see more duo modes and a ranked duo mode come out because the strategy and teamwork when you only have yourself and one teammate to rely on is so much fun. The last mode I will talk about is the special 8v8v8 mode, which is actually pure chaos but a ton of fun. You play on a massive map called Glacier and battle it out against 2 other teams in TDM, Domination, and King of the Hill. You can see the inspiration from Apex in the finals here, and I think they did a really good job adapting some of these ideas into Splitgate. There's even loot crates that drop from the sky with power weapons in them. If you can snag a sniper from one of these crates, then you become a force to be reckoned with, picking people off long range on this huge map. A little disclaimer that this is just an alpha and anything we talked about could change and is likely to change, and definitely be giving the devs your feedback on things you do like and don't like so they can keep developing this game. There's so much more I want to talk about, but unfortunately I am running out of time. I am live right now on Twitch and will be streaming around 12 hours a day during this alpha, so come say hi and let me know what you think of Splitgate 2. The link will be down in the description. With that being said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.